How I destroy my bother business and take revenge. When I was 24, I lost everything in 6 months. First, I got laid off from my marketing job when the company downsized. Then my landlord sold the apartment building, and I had 30 days to move out. I had some savings, but not much. I'd spent most of it helping my mom after her surgery the year before, and I never regretted that. She always told me family remembers who shows up when things get hard. Apparently, that only applied when I was the one helping. I asked my older brother Daniel if I could stay in his guest room for a few weeks while I looked for work. He said he needed to. Asked Melissa, his wife, even though he always bragged that the house was family's house too. 2 days later, he called me back and said they couldn't because Melissa worked from home and needed her space. That hurt, but I understood. Or at least I told myself I did. Then I asked my mom if I could stay with her. She hesitated for a long time before saying it might create tension, because my stepdad didn't like having extra people around. This was the same woman I had drained my savings for. The same woman whose rent I'd quietly paid 3 times when she was short. She cried on the phone and said, "Please don't make me choose." So I didn't. I ended up renting a tiny room from a stranger on Facebook Marketplace. The lock on the door barely worked, the walls were so thin I could hear the couple in the next room arguing every night, and the bathroom ceiling leaked brown water whenever the upstairs tenant showered. I told myself it was temporary. During that time, I started applying for jobs nonstop. Hundreds of applications. Barely any callbacks. Rejections every week. Ghosting. We've decided to move forward with other candidates. I started freelancing just to survive, social media copy, logo redesigns, website audits, whatever I could get. One night, around 2 a.m., I was working on a rush branding project for some local gym owner who wanted Apple-level marketing for $75, and I got a text from Daniel. It said, "Hey, quick favor. Can you send Mom $400? They're behind again." I stared at the screen. Not. "How are you?" Not. "Did you find a place?" Not. "Are you okay?" Just money. I wrote back. "I'm barely making rent." He left me on read. The next morning, my mom called me crying, saying Daniel told her I had become selfish since losing my job. That was the first time I realized they weren't just failing to help me. They were rewriting the story so they could feel better about abandoning me. I wish I could say that was the worst of it. It wasn't. 3 weeks later, my cousin Jenna accidentally sent me a screenshot that was meant for someone else. It was from the family group chat, one I had apparently been removed from without even noticing. In the screenshot, Melissa had written, "I still think he's exaggerating how bad things are. He always wants people to feel sorry for him." My stepdad replied, "A grown man who can't get back on his feet in this economy is either lazy or lying." And my own mother had reacted with a thumbs up. A thumbs up. I looked at that screenshot for maybe 10 full minutes without moving. I felt cold all over. Not angry at first. Just numb. The kind of numb where your brain refuses to process what your eyes are seeing because if it does, something inside you will break. Jenna called immediately after and kept apologizing. She said she didn't know I wasn't in the chat anymore. She said they'd been talking about me for weeks, mostly after I stopped offering money. Apparently, my struggles had become a running discussion topic at family dinners. I didn't confront anyone. I just stopped calling. Stopped texting. Stopped trying. I put every ounce of energy into work. That little branding project for the gym owner turned out to be the one lucky break I needed. He loved what I did and referred me to another business owner. Then another. Then another. Within 6 months, I had a full client list. By the end of the year, I had turned my freelancing into a real agency. It was small at first, just me, a laptop, and a lot of caffeine, but it grew fast. I worked like a man possessed. By 28, I had my own office downtown, 6 employees, and contracts with companies I used to dream about working for. I bought a condo in the city. Nothing obscene, but beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Quiet building. A door with a lock that worked. I posted almost nothing about my life online. I learned early that success is quieter when you don't feel the need to prove it. But people talk. Clients tagged me. Local business pages mentioned my agency. My name started popping up in articles and podcasts. That's when my family remembered I existed. First it was my mom. She called from an unknown number because I changed phones and never saved her new one. Her voice cracked the second I answered. "Sweetheart," she said. "I've missed you so much." I said, "Have you?" Silence. Then came the excuses. She was under pressure. She was scared. My stepdad influenced her. She never meant to hurt me. Family goes through rough patches. She was proud of me. That word, proud, almost made me laugh. Proud now that there was something to be proud of. I kept the conversation polite and short. She asked if we could have dinner soon. I said I was busy. Then Daniel reached out. Unlike my mom, he skipped the emotional warm-up. He congratulated me on the business, said he always knew I'd bounce back, then asked if I'd be interested in looking at an investment opportunity with him. I actually thought it was a joke. Daniel had spent years mocking people who sit on laptops pretending to work. He once told me my old job wasn't a real career, because I didn't build anything with my hands. Now suddenly he wanted me as a business partner. I ignored him. Then Melissa messaged me on Instagram. She sent a smiling selfie of her and Daniel with their kids and wrote, "Life is short. We should let go of the past, Red Heart." I didn't answer that either. A few weeks later, my mom invited me to her birthday dinner. I almost declined. But Jenna called and said, "You need to go. Not for them. For yourself. You need to see it with your own eyes." So I went. And honestly, walking into that restaurant felt surreal. Everyone acted like I had just been away on a business trip, not emotionally exiled for years. My mom hugged me too tightly. Daniel clapped me on the back and said, "Look at you, Mr. Big Shot." Melissa suddenly became warm and charming. Even my stepdad stood up to shake my hand like I was some business contact he was trying to impress. I smiled. I was polite. I let them perform. Then halfway through dinner, the real reason I'd been invited showed up. Daniel cleared his throat and said, "Actually, since everyone's here, there's something we wanted to talk to you about." Of course there was. He explained that he and Melissa had gotten into some financial trouble. Bad investments. Credit card debt. The mortgage had adjusted. He was between opportunities. Then my mom jumped in and said her roof needed repairs and insurance wasn't covering enough. Then my stepdad said, "You're doing very well now, from what we hear. Maybe this is a chance for the family to come together." I looked around the table. No one looked embarrassed. No one looked ashamed. They really thought this was normal. They abandoned me when I needed a couch. They mocked me in private. They called me lazy while I lived in a room with a leaking ceiling. And now they were sitting in front of me, hands out, smiling like I owed them a victory lap payout. I asked one question. "Before I answer, do you all remember the family group chat?" Everything went still. Daniel looked at Melissa. My mom looked down. My stepdad reached for his water. I pulled out my phone. I still had the screenshot Jenna sent me all those years ago. I had never deleted it. Not out of spite at first, just because I wanted a reminder of what people say when they think you can do nothing for them. I put my phone on the table and slid it toward the center. No one touched it. I said, "Do you want me to read it out loud, or does everyone remember what they said?" My mom burst into tears immediately. Daniel went red and started saying that was taken out of context. Melissa tried to blame stress. My stepdad said, "That was years ago." Years ago. As if time erases character. I stood up, put my wallet on the table, and said, "I'll pay for dinner. Consider it my contribution to the family." Then I left. That should have been enough. It should have ended there. But people like that don't stop when dignity would require it. 2 days later, Daniel posted on Facebook about fake family members who forget where they came from after making money. My mom started calling Jenna and other relatives crying, saying I had humiliated her in public for a misunderstanding. Melissa messaged one of my employees on LinkedIn asking weird questions about how my business was really doing. That was when I realized they were trying to do what they'd always done, control the narrative. Only this time, I had receipts. And leverage. Now, before anyone says this sounds petty, hear me out. A month earlier, Daniel had bragged at dinner, before the money conversation, that he was launching a consulting company. What he didn't know was one of my newer clients had been approached by him for the same contract and forwarded me his pitch deck because it looked familiar. Very familiar. Because whole sections of it had been stolen from my agency's website and from a proposal my team had written for a public campaign. Same phrases. Same structure. Even a typo we had accidentally left in one older version. At the time, I told the client not to engage and had my lawyer send a quiet cease and desist. Daniel ignored it. So when he started smearing me online, I stopped being quiet. I didn't go to Facebook. I didn't post family drama. I let professionalism do the revenge for me. My lawyer filed a formal claim for copyright infringement and misrepresentation. We also contacted 2 businesses he had pitched and provided proof that he had used stolen material and falsely implied a partnership network he didn't have. Within 10 days, his consulting company collapsed before it started. One of the businesses posted a public warning to local entrepreneurs about fraudulent pitches. His professional reputation took a hit so fast it made my head spin. And because karma has perfect timing, one of Daniel's lenders saw the complaint and froze a line of credit he had been depending on. He called me screaming. He said I was ruining his life. I said, "No, Daniel. I think you did that when you decided I was only worth calling if you needed money." Then I hung up. That still wasn't the revenge people in my family talk about now, though. The real revenge happened with my mom. A few months after the restaurant incident, she left my stepdad. Apparently, his finances were much worse than anyone knew, and he had been hiding debt for years while blaming everyone else. She asked if we could meet. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She looked older. Smaller somehow. For the first time in my life, she didn't speak like a mother trying to steer the conversation. She spoke like a person who had run out of ways to lie to herself. She admitted she had gone along with things because it was easier than defending me. Easier than fighting with her husband. Easier than confronting Daniel. Easier than feeling guilty for taking my help when I had less than they did. Then she said, "I know I don't deserve it, But I'm asking if there's any way to start over. And that was the hardest part of all. Because revenge is easy when the person is cruel. It's harder when they're weak. Weakness does damage too, but it doesn't always wear the face of a villain. I told her I forgave her for my own sake. But forgiveness isn't access. I didn't give her money. I didn't invite her into my business. I didn't rebuild a fantasy version of our relationship. I told her if she wanted a place in my life, it would have to be earned slowly, honestly, and without expecting rescue. For once, she nodded and accepted that. Daniel never did. To this day, he tells people I destroyed his career out of spite. What he leaves out is that his career was built on stolen work, borrowed status, and the assumption that I would stay silent no matter how badly he treated me. I don't speak to him anymore. Melissa tried one last time to contact me when they were close to losing the house. She wrote, "If you help us now, we can put all this ugliness behind us." I blocked her without replying. Here's the part that still gets me though. If they had helped me back then, just a little, I would have done anything for them. A couch. A kind word. A meal. Simple human decency. That was all it would have taken. Instead, they taught me exactly who they were when I had nothing. And that knowledge became the foundation of everything I built after. So yes, I got successful. Yes, they came back. And yes, when they tried to use me again, I made sure the cost of betraying me was finally higher than the benefit. No yelling. No public meltdown. No dramatic social media war. Just evidence, boundaries, consequences. And a front row seat while the people who called me worthless had to watch me become untouchable. Now I need your opinion on this one. Is I'm right or wrong? What you think? Do your to next part, then subscribe the channel and comment below.